Hello there, welcome back to the Ogre, the old Git Reacts, Reviews and Off Times Reminisces. That old adage, never judge an album by its cover, springs in here. Just flicking through the interwebs, looking for something new the other day. Came across, well, I tend to click on everything, give it a go, and rapidly remove myself if it doesn't meet my ear's approval. And so I found that some album covers are the complete opposite of the sound they indicate. So I tend to click on everything and then sort of give it a minute, or not even a minute, 5 seconds normally. And if it's not what would normally what I'd normally allow to bounce around inside my cranium, we move on. But so similarly, I clicked onto the Howling, not expecting much from the album cover, and was pleasantly surprised. Why were you? Well, let's listen, shall we? And you can find out for yourself. This is another one of those occasions where being too hasty with something has bit me on the arse to a degree. I was sure that this song went helter-skelter from the very beginning to the very end, and yet we've got another drawn-out, albeit atmospheric, in a harsh sense, intro. But yes, I'm hoping that things pick up, because that's the reason I picked this song. But I've only owned the album for a couple of days, and I've listened to it in its entirety perhaps once whilst doing other things. I'll tell you what I was doing. I was watching Big Jet TV, where they were airliners were landing in a storm, whilst listening to this in its entirety, which may be why I'm not quite sure what it sounds like after all. Here we go. Here we go, we're picking up the pace and the intensity, thank God for that. It looks like this is going to be a builder, but it's a slow builder, which, as I say, I wasn't expecting. Going back to the album cover, nonetheless, when I first clicked on said album. I was expecting something a bit black gazy going from the album cover, or at the sort of more twinkly end of the atmospheric black metal spectrum, and it isn't, clearly. The other songs that I thought I paid notice of on this album seem to get rolling on far quicker than this one does. But not to say I'm not still enjoying the slower ride than I expected. And vote for that. Oh, keep going. So there you go. Right, totally wrong-footed there by I was convinced that that sort of minute at the end where it bowed along was what was the main sort of meat of this song, but it's clearly not. Not to say I haven't enjoyed it, it's just it's taken me a little bit by surprise. Now, given what I've just said, perhaps don't take my word for this, but take my word for this, that the rest of the album absolutely thunders along and is full of that last minute stuff, which is the stuff I like, and which is the reason I bought the blooming album in the first place. Like I say, it's a fresh purchase, and clearly I haven't got to grips with the whole sound yet. And just as an aside, Howling come from Ohio, and specifically Cincinnati. And the reason I make that point is I've always heard Cincinnati in my own head as Sin City. But anyway, okay, so you can't as a reaction, because it was nothing like what I thought it sounded like again. But it had its moments, and oh yes, one of my favourite black metal voices, that sort of wraith from beyond the veil. So you know, happy enough am I. Clicky bollocks, catch you all next time. Cheerio.